Welcome back to another Destiny 2 video, everyone. We've got a Void 3.0 build for the Titan involving the Second Chance exotic gauntlets and the Collective Obligation exotic pulse rifle. Both of these exotics were very underwhelming when they got released, and Bungie actually buffed both of these exotics. So I'm going to be going over a build where you can use both of these together, and it is very strong. You can use it in master content and do very well with it. So Guardians, let's get into this. Now, before we get into this, down in the description is a Destiny Item Manager link that you can copy and paste it into the Destiny Item Manager app, and it will automatically apply all the mods, aspects, and fragments for you. Now, like I said, when the Second Chance exotic gauntlets came out, they were very underwhelming. Everybody in the community was complaining about it. The whole point of this exotic is that it's able to pierce shields and stun barrier champions, but it wasn't even taking down barrier champion shields. Since then, Bungie buffed it, and you can actually one-shot anti-barrier champions in Grandmaster content. So it's very viable for the endgame now. The Second Chance exotic perk, the Myrmidon's Reach, gain a second charge to your shield throw melee, which becomes shield piercing and stuns barrier champions. And we're pairing this with the exotic pulse rifle Collective Obligation with its exotic perk, Void Leech. This weapon leeches void debuffs when damaging targets that are suppressed, weakened, or volatile. Once charged, hold the reload button to swap fire modes. In this mode, damage from this weapon applies the same void debuffs that were leeched. And it also has the exotic trait perk Umbral Substance. This weapons magazine is automatically reloaded when you gain Devour, avoid overshield, or become invisible. So Guardians, let's dive into this subclass. We are on the Sentinel Titan subclass using the Ward of Dawn. We're going to be using the Towering Barricade. We have the Strafe Lift. Doesn't really matter about the jump. Use whatever one you want. Obviously, you have to have on the shield throw void melee. Hurl your void shield toward a target. The shield can ricochet off targets and surfaces, granting overshield for each target hit. And then very important, we're going to have the suppressor grenade, an explosive grenade that suppresses, preventing targets from using abilities for a short time. The reason we need the suppressor grenade is because we're going to want to leech the suppression effect with our exotic pulse rifle, and none of the other grenades actually suppress targets, so make sure you're using this. Then moving on to the aspects, I'm using Controlled Demolitionist. Hitting a target with the void ability or volatile explosions makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode, grants you and nearby allies health, and volatile targets explode near you. So this is going to help keep you alive with the health regen. And once again, we're going to be able to leech the volatile debuff with our exotic pulse. And the other aspect, we're using Offensive Bulwark, mainly because we get 2 fragment slots with this one. It states that while you have an overshield or inside your Ward of Dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster, and you have increased melee range and damage. And melee final blows extend the duration of the overshield, and you gain an additional shield throw while in Sentinel Shield. But we're going to ignore that because we're actually using the Ward of Dawn, not the other super. So this is actually going to increase the damage of our melee a little bit. Since we have 2 melee charges now, it synergizes really well. Then for the first fragment, I'm using Echo of Undermining. Your void grenades weaken targets. It gives you a -20 to discipline. And in case you didn't know, when you weaken a target takes increased damage and has their movement speed slow. Afflicted combatants have difficulty firing accurately. It does give you a -20 to discipline, but it is worth it. So as you can see, with just this one fragment, Echo of Undermining, our grenades are going to weaken targets. Our actual suppressor grenade is going to suppress them and weaken them. And since we have Controlled Demolitionist, any void ability is going to make them volatile. And like I said, for the exotic pulse rifle Collective Obligation, you're going to be able to take advantage of the suppressed, weakened, and volatile leech. For the second void fragment, I have Echo of Starvation. Picking up an Orb of Power grants Devour. Devour is feast on the energy of your defeated foes. Final blows restore you to full health, grant grenade energy, and extend your Devour. So this is really going to help you stay alive in those endgame activities. And it's very easy to create orbs by yourself with Harmonic Siphon. Rapid weapon final blows with damage matching your subclass type create an Orb of Power. And since we're on the Void subclass, and the collective obligation pulse rifle is void, you're going to be creating orbs all the time. Then I'm also using Echo of Leeching. Melee final blows start health regeneration for you and nearby allies, gives you plus 10 to resilience. Resilience is really important on your Titan, and since we're going to be using this for endgame activities, health regeneration is key. Then for the last fragment that we have Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons, and it gives you a plus 10 to strength, which is going to help you get your shield throw back a lot quicker. So we got Echo of Undermining to weaken the target, Echo of Instability to make them volatile, and your suppressor grenade to suppress them, to take advantage of all of the leeching buffs from the exotic pulse rifle. So all you really need to do is throw your grenade and get a kill, and you can leech all 3 of these debuffs. Now on the helmet, it's Solar Affinity. We got Bountiful Wells, so we can create 2 elemental wells. Every time you pick up an elemental well, it's going to grant you energy to your ability with the lowest current energy. And since we're creating void wells, it's going to match our subclass, so it's going to give us energy to all of our abilities. Like I said earlier, we have on Harmonic Siphon, so we can create those orbs with our void weapons to proc Devour to get health regen. We've got a Discipline mod on. On the exotic gauntlets, second chance, we have Reaping Wellmaker. After activating our class ability, the next weapon final blow on a combatant spawns a void elemental well. Since we have Bountiful Wells, it's going to stack and grant 2 void elemental wells. We got Unstoppable Pulse Rifle to make the collective obligation viable in endgame. We have Focusing Strike, grants class ability energy when we cause damage with a melee attack. Since we have 2 melees, we're always going to be getting class ability energy back with this. And if you guys actually don't need Unstoppable, you can stack 2 of these and get even more class ability energy back. On the chest piece, we have Melee Wellmaker. Every time we get a melee kill with our shield throw, we're going to be dropping 2 void elemental wells because of Bountiful Wells. And then I have some resistance mods and a strength mod. Moving on to the boots, we have Font of Might. Picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type grants a temporary bonus to weapon damage of that same elemental type. So our collective obligation is going to be doing even more damage every time we pick up a void elemental well. And then we have 2 innervation mods. Reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. The reason I have this is because we're going to need that suppressor grenade back so we can keep applying the debuff. The more grenades you have, the more we're debuffing those enemies. We got 2 of them and they do stack, so we can get the most energy from picking up an orb of power every time we get kills with our weapon. Then we have Seeking Wells on the class item. Elemental wells you create will move across the ground toward nearby players. When you're in those endgame activities, sometimes it's not a good idea to run out and try to get those elemental wells, so this way the wells will come to us. We're stacking 2 outreach mods, reduces the melee cooldown when using our class ability. So not only do we have 2 melee charges, but they're coming back really fast with these, and they do stack. And Guardians, that is pretty much the build right there. So what you guys are going to want to do is just lead off with your suppressor grenade. Since all the fragments and aspects, your 1 suppressor grenade is going to suppress them, weaken them, and make them volatile. So you can easily leech all 3 debuffs. I've been having a lot of fun with this build. Like I said, the shield throw can actually one-shot in Grandmaster activities to those anti-barrier champions. The collective obligation, we got Unstoppable Pulse Rifle this season, so you can stun unstoppable champions with it. And since Bungie buffed the collective obligation, it's way easier to leech the buffs, and it's way easier to keep chaining it, so you have it up a lot more often than you used to. That is going to do it for the build, guys. If you guys found this helpful, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Follow me over on Twitch if you guys want to hang out more. And I also have a Twitter, so send me a tweet if you guys want to. I'm going to get out of here. Let me know down in the comments if you guys try this build out. How do you guys like it? And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.